Hi everybody, this is Mr. West. I teach social studies classes on both Team Capricorn and Team Scorpio here at Arcadia Middle School. And today I want to go over some tips for online learning and show you some important things about the technology we're now using here at Arcadia Middle School, especially as it relates to Google Classroom. And actually, that's the first point I want to make, that although we use Infinite Campus to report grades, and there are some pretty cool tools attached to Infinite Campus, monitoring your child's Google Classroom page is going to give you a lot more up-to-date information about assignments and what's going on in class. If you are not receiving email notifications for your child's Google Classroom, then please email one of his or her team teachers so that we can get you those notifications. Typically, Google will, once you sign up for those notifications, Google will notify you whenever a teacher posts an assignment or posts a communication on the Google Classroom stream. Now, different teachers may be using Google Classroom slightly differently, but much of what I'm showing you today is going to be true across the board at Arcadia Middle School. And I'm going to start by showing you my Google Classroom page for a sample social studies class. When your child logs in, they will see a similar view to this, which is the Google Classroom main page for my social studies class, also called the Google Classroom stream. And I use the Google Classroom stream to post a daily agenda. So you can see down here, this was the agenda for October 20th. So this is where a student should go first if they missed a class, or if you as a parent want to check up on what they did for that particular day. Now, assignments can also be viewable from the classroom stream, but for this particular class, I changed my settings so that assignments are not viewable on the stream, and I did that to avoid clutter and to keep things simple. And that will vary from teacher to teacher, even from class to class. I believe I do have some classes here where assignments, here is one of my classes that I still have assignments which are posting automatically on the stream. So that's just going to depend on the teacher and perhaps the class. But more importantly, for assignments, which I know is what a lot of parents are going to want to know, is how do I access assignments? Classwork is the tab you're going to want to look for. This is where you will find assignments for students. Now, this is my view. A student's view might look very slightly different, but for the most part, this is what they're going to see. I set up categories. Again, some teachers may not, but I believe most teachers do have categories under the Classwork tab. I have Unit 1 resources, Unit 1 core readings, smart words checks, note checks. These are all the kinds of assignments that you'll see posted, and now they're organized into folders. So, for example, if your student has a journal assignment that they're working on, they would want to go to the Unit 1 journal assignments, and all the assignments are organized by date with the title. And from there, they can click on the assignment and they can see what the assignment was. When you click on the assignment, it will give you directions. And this is where things start to change depending on what the assignment is. Some teachers, and even within a given class, some assignments may be a Google form that they need to complete and submit as a quiz grade. It could be a journal entry. So, for example, in social studies, all students have a social studies journal. And when I create this assignment, I select each student will get a copy. And I believe this is what almost every teacher is doing. So if, for example, your student is being asked to write a paragraph, or in this case, make a journal entry, they have their own copy of this. And I can open that up at any time and view it. Their students may be asked to turn it in, and I'll show you in a few minutes where that turn in button is. But once a teacher assigns a student their own individual copy, that copy really can't get lost. And I think that's the point that I want to make here. Once it's assigned to the student, it's there. So if a student says, well, I can't find it, or I sent it to my teacher and they didn't get it, well, double check that assignment in Google Classroom, because really once it's attached to that assignment, it's that copy of the Google slide or the Google Doc is there permanently. One other thing to mention about the Classwork tab is that in my case, not everything posted here is an actual assignment. And you will see this happen occasionally with teachers. For example, if I want to post a video or a reference packet, I have a couple options. I can post it on the classroom stream, and it's here, but students would have to search for that. They'd have to scroll through all of my other announcements. As an alternative, I can post it under classwork, and then it will come through as an assignment. It will post as an assignment, and you'll be able to tell the difference because there won't be a due date and there won't be any points attached. And in my case, at least, I've clearly labeled it as a resource and I've dropped it into this category here. Now I want to switch to the student's view of Google Classroom. I've taken some screenshots of a student's Google Classroom page because I want all parents to know about the Google Classroom to-do list, which is an awesome tool to keep kids organized. So when your child logs into Google Classroom at the beginning of the day, this is what they'll see. It's the main menu page. You'll see all of their classes down here. They can click on any individual class, and then it will take them to the pages that I was showing you a minute ago. But before they do that, at the top, there's a to-do list and a calendar function. So I'm going to click the to-do list, and this is what your child will see. They will see all assignments which they still need to do that have not been turned in yet. There's a drop-down menu here, so you can either select so that it will view all of the assignments, or you can click on any individual class and it will show you just what's due in that particular class. Now you can also click the missing tab. So this will show work that is past due and still needs to be turned in. If we click the missing tab, again, it's organized by week. So this week, there's nothing late. There's no outstanding assignments that need to be turned in for the student. But from last week, we can see that they have a total of 8 assignments in all classes, which still need to be completed. And they can click on any of these assignments and it will open up right here. These are actually live links. We can also narrow it down by using the drop-down menu and choosing just one class. And so for this particular class, we can see that as far as missing work, there's no missing work from this week, no missing work from last week, but from earlier in the school year, there are still 2 assignments from September which need to be completed. Now, if your child clicks on the calendar function, you'll get this view. And this simply shows what has been assigned for this week that is currently due. And you can obviously scroll back to previous weeks. The only thing with the calendar function is, from what kids are telling me at least, when they complete an assignment, it does not drop off the calendar. That's different from the to-do list, because when you're on the to-do list, once you finish this assignment, it should disappear. And so when you look at the to-do list, it's clear what needs to be done is what's in front of you. But when you're on the calendar function, this is simply a total of all assignments that were assigned, and it's not as clear which ones to be completed and which ones still need to be done. Okay, let's talk about buttons. So this is very important. I think most kids have gotten the hang of this, but I do want to mention it because, at least in my classroom, it has caused a problem a few times. If a student is assigned, if a student is assigned anything, they should have a Mark as Done button on Google Classroom, and that's how they turn it in. If a student is assigned a Google form, which is an assignment that will look like this, and it's typically multiple choice. I do a lot of these because it's a very quick grade. Kids get instant feedback. They know how they did. They can see what the correct answer was. And on my end, it loads right into my grade book, so I can see very quickly how kids did. The Google Forms are pretty cool, but you have to hit this purple Submit button on the bottom. And most kids do that, but what we have found is that some kids will click the Submit button and then jump back to Google Classroom and hit Mark as Done. And that doesn't allow the form time to collect the responses. And so what happens on my end is then I get a grade that's been submitted, but there's no grade. It's basically a 0. It's blank. So when kids hit Submit, they really need to wait until that whole form finishes loading their answers. and then jump to the Mark is Done button on Google Classroom. Another button which is very important is the Yes, I'm Here button. This is not on Google Classroom. This is on Infinite Campus. I think most parents and students are aware of this by now, but because it is so important, I'm going to mention again that every student is responsible for each class at the beginning of class to go to the check-in link on Infinite Campus, and please click that Yes, I'm Here button. And we're even telling students, if you miss a Google Classroom meet, something came up, you have a doctor's appointment, or for whatever reason, even if you don't attend the meet, as long as you go back, you check the agenda, you get the work done, we will give you credit for attending that class. And so in that situation, the student should still hit that Yes, I'm Here button so they can get credit for participating for that day. So thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Please feel free to email any of your child's teachers with questions. And thank you to all parents for the work you're putting in at home to help your child be successful in school this year.